we will discuss on simple pendulum. Now, all of you have already known or even saw the pics of simple pendulum. It's a very common topic from physics, which starts from say class 7 or 8. So we'll discuss morely on your class 9 syllabus of it. Now, here we have taken a rigid support and we have taken two positions A and B, which are considered to be the extreme positions. Now, from the point S, we have suspended a pendulum where this is called the bob and G is considered as the center of gravity of that bob. Now, let the length of the pendulum be small length. Now, this length of pendulum is normally called as effective length. Effective length means the length which starts, or the measurement, the initial position, you can start from the support position or the support point to the center of gravity. If you see here, the arrowhead comes near to the center of gravity, or it just touches the center of gravity. So this is your effective length of a simple pendulum. Now, if it moves to one right side, that is say A, and that is a maximum displacement from position O to A. So this is your amplitude. That means the maximum displacement from the mean position. This position is called the mean position, where it rests without any external force at free condition, when you have not given any force. So this is your mean position. From the mean position, the maximum displacement to any either of this position or this anywhere, these are called the amplitude. So this displacement is called amplitude. This displacement is called amplitude. Now this is a second. This is a next extreme position, that is point B, where it reaches. That is also again the displacement or the maximum displacement over here. Means after this it will come to G again. Now, what do you mean by oscillation then? Oscillation means this to and fro is called oscillation. Now, to be more specific, to and fro is just now you have seen here. I will show it again. Say this is the pendulum, and we have gone to one position on the right. Again, it came to the left position after coming to the mean position. Then it came to the left position. I'll do it again for you. This is your simple pendulum. It moved towards A. It came to the mean position now again, and again it moved, and again it moved to position B. Simple pendulum from mean position to one extreme position. From that it comes to the mean position again, and again it returns to the B and B. Now, what is oscillation then? One complete to and fro motion either from the mean or from the extreme position is called one oscillation. That means what? From the mean position, if it moves, just take into care of my cursor. It moves from the mean position O to A, and again through the position O it goes to B, and finally it returns to O. This is one oscillation. Again, in a different, that is from it when it starts from the mean position. That only I have written either from mean position. Okay. Now, if I consider any one position, say from A, if I consider, that means from A it will come through the mean position, it will come to B, and from B it will again return to A. That is also one oscillation. Again, if I consider the B as the extreme position, then from B through mean to A, and from A it returns back finally to B, then that is also one oscillation. Hope you have understood this part. If any clarification questions remains, you please comment on the comment section. So effective length I have already discussed. That's the total length. That's the length. It's the length measured from the point of suspension, that is S. I have already explained you, to the center of gravity of the bob. Next comes time period. Now, as I have understood that what is one complete to and from. One complete to and from is from any of the extreme positions, from B to B, or from A to A, or from G to G. So the time taken to complete one oscillation is called as time period of the simple pendulum. Next, frequency. Now, total number of oscillations in 1 second. Simple case. You have learned about one complete oscillation or one complete to and fro. From there you learned the timing of one complete to and fro is, or oscillation is called time period. Now in 1 second the total number of oscillations, so in 1 second say there are like this, it moved, started from A, it moved to B, came to A, again it moved to B, again it came to A. That means there are 2 oscillations if I consider been done in 1 second. That means the frequency will be 2. Frequency means the total number of complete oscillations in 1 second. Unit is very simple, number of oscillations per second. That means this second inverse is your 1 unit, which is normally denoted by Hertz. H-E-R-T-Z is the spelling. H will be capital, A-Z will be in small hand. Then comes amplitude. I have already discussed, as the maximum displacement of the bob from the mean position. Now relation between T and F, that is time period and frequency, they are actually inversely proportional. That means time period is inversely proportional to the frequency. In the reverse way, frequency is also inversely proportional to the time period. So that only it's been written. Now let us discuss over a graph. Let there be an x-axis from O, and on the x-axis let us put the effective length of the simple pendulum. Now let us put y-axis as time, and we will discuss how time period and length can be discussed over this graph. Let the slope of the graph, this red one is your graph, red one is your curve on the graph, which is a straight line. If you see, the curve is a straight line, and I have denoted the slope of this curve as S. Now I have taken 2 arbitrary points, one from here. I have taken one arbitrary point first. From here I have dropped a perpendicular on the x-axis. Similarly, I have dropped another perpendicular on y-axis from the same point. The meeting point of this perpendicular with x-axis I have taken as L1, and the same intersection point on the y-axis from the same point from the curve I have taken as T1 square. T1 is the time, and square of that we have taken. Now similarly the other point I have taken, and we have done the same thing. L2 I have taken as the intersection point on x-axis, and T2 square I have taken on the intersection point on y-axis. Now we will consider the difference along y-axis. That means this is your del y. That means the difference between this value to this value. So we have taken this one, T1 square minus T2 square. Similarly, we will take the difference along x-axis also. So that is L1 square, L1 minus L2. So that one L1 minus L2. Now it can easily found out the slope. Slope we know it is equal to the ratio of the difference in y-axis by or to the difference in x-axis. That means T1 square minus T2 square by L1 minus L2. So it is experimentally from here only we can find out this graph is done on the basis of some experiments, from where we get this slope, and from there we can easily understand that T, if I write here T square, will be proportional to L. That means T is proportional to root L. Now the slope, what I have already discussed, is equal to T1 square minus T2 square by L1 minus L2. Now the slope of this, the interesting point is that the value of this is always constant with respect to G. That means acceleration due to gravity at certain point. If G varies, then this value will vary. But at a certain place, if G remains say at certain value, then the slope value will also remain the same. And the slope value is 4 pi square by G. Where if you see here, only 4 pi square is a constant term. G varies with different places on places on the earth. Now the last one, factors what affects the time period. Now there are 4 factors. First factor not affects 4 factors. It is mainly 3 factors which affects. First, the length, which is inversely which is directly proportional to time period, and the length here is in root. That means time period is proportional to the root over of L, or we can also write T square is directly proportional to length of the, or this length is the effective length of the simple pendulum. Again, T is directly proportional I am saying to 1 by G, or you can also tell T or the time period is inversely proportional to root over of G. Both are same. If you see the formula, you will find that there nowhere the mass depends. That means whether the mass is a huge mass or the mass of the bob is big or more or less, it doesn't affect the time period. So the time period is mainly affected by the length and g. So if you are being asked that yes, the mass of the mass of the simple pendulum is increased, how it will affect the time period. So you need to write in your question, there will be no effect on the time period, since the time period do not depend on mass. It is not dependent, T is not dependent on mass. Now if I combine these formulas, we will get a proportionality constant, that is 2 pi. This also we get out of this is a factor mainly to get approximately a correct value to be from any equation. We will find that there are proportionality signs are there, and that proportionality sign is removed or replaced by equal to, and we get a proportionality constant over here. This is nothing but a multiplying factor. In more simple words, is a multiplying factor which gives you a roughly a true value of the time period of that place, or the value of that quantity at that place. Okay, so hope this presentation is okay with you. If any confusions or clarifications is required, please comment on the comment section. I am there to help you out in this. Okay, thank you to all of you. And before leaving, if you have seen the video, I hope you have seen the video since you are in this end of the slide. So please subscribe the channel and don't forget to hit the gong so that you get the notifications as and when I upload new videos, and this will be an inspiration from me.